Hey YouTube gun people, I wanted to do a modification of the 1911 grip safety for you today. Why do I want to do that? Well, for me personally, when I try to draw quickly, maybe I should just slow down my draw or get better technique, but I've been really struggling with this. Depressing the grip safety, particularly if I get a high grip on the pistol, can sometimes be an issue. Make that trigger feel pretty gritty and you have to fight it, or sometimes I won't engage it enough and it's hard to pull. You have to re-grip. I don't want that. Grip safety modifications grip safety issues are fairly common with the 1911, and the modification is fairly normal as well. I'll show you how this works. There's two things to consider. One, it might be that your grip safety, there's just too much spring tension on the grip safety, which you can reduce. The other possibility is there's no difference in spring tension. It's really a matter of how the grip safety engages the bow of the trigger. It's too much. You have to depress it too far to get it to disengage from the trigger, so the trigger can move back. And it's up to you to decide which it is, and you can tell by feel, and you'll have to know. Your leaf spring sits in the gun in this position here. Okay, so if you're looking at it in your gun, let's put this in the gun. If you look at a 1911, you'll see here. Let me zoom in, try to keep this on camera. This will be challenging. There's a slot right here. Okay, the bottom of your leaf spring has a little bend in it that fits in that slot. So when this is sitting in the gun and you're looking directly at it, it's this rightmost spring that faces back towards you, that puts the tension on the grip safety. If you feel that your grip safety just has too much spring tension in, you can carefully bend this in, and I mean carefully and a little bit at a time. That actually brings me to an important point. Any kind of this home gunsmithing stuff requires some knowledge. You need to know how to break down your firearm completely. You are responsible. I am not responsible for your home gunsmithing. And even more importantly, you must leave the pistol intact. In other words, that these safety features work, especially if you're going to use it for competition. And it's really your own responsibility, and you have to do it very slowly and have a high degree of patience. You don't want to remove too much material. You can always remove more, but you can't put material back. Okay, so this will require, for instance, a little bit of bending in that spring, putting it back, testing it, maybe a little bit more bending. It's a very tedious process, so you have to be committed to doing that. This, by the way, is my Franken Colt 9mm 1911. It looks beat to hell. I'll tell you what, they'll put it up against any Ed Brown, any Les Baer, anything. It shoots the balls. Anyway, the other issue that you might be having is related to how a grip safety actually works. Alright, so let's zoom in. I'll try to demonstrate this for you. Here's a grip safety. Alright, now if you look at this grip safety, there's this protrusion that fits into the gun. Alright. So the way this actually works is the grip safety prevents the rearward travel. You see. So I'll try to get that on camera a little bit better. So here's a position where when the grip safety is not depressed, it prevents the rearward motion of the trigger. So if I try to press the trigger, I cannot. It's hitting the grip safety as it should. When I depress the grip safety, it moves in this position, and now it clears and can move back and set off the sear. You follow me? So this is safety. This is depressed and allows the rearward travel. Now you can see this grip safety is a little bit shaped. Okay, let's try to. I think you can appreciate that there's an angle cut into this, right? Now one thing I'm going to do is polish this part right here, and I'm going to take off a little bit of material off the bottom. Okay, and that will basically, when my trigger is, when the grip safety is in play, or not in play, not depressed, excuse me, right? It'll still sit in the same position, but when I depress the grip safety, it'll come off a little bit faster. Okay, so you have to depress it a little bit less. The key is to remove material off the bottom here, not the face. Don't remove it off the face. You can polish it, but if you remove it off the face, you know, for instance, if you ground this completely off, that is no longer a functional grip safety. That will get you disqualified from competitions. Okay, so if this was my trigger touching here, when I depress it, it moves down. So to get it to leave the safety quicker, you remove material off the bottom, and I mean a little bit, and you polish it. All right. Let me show you what you need to do to the gun to be able to actually carry this out. Strip down your gun, get it. It's a good opportunity to really strip it down into its parts, get it clean. All right. So this thing has been stripped and clean. It's dry as a bone. All right. What I want to do now is put back my trigger. Trigger goes in. This is not a reassembly video. I put my my mag release in here. Okay, so now I have a trigger in place. Okay, what I want to be able to do is set it up so I could visualize what's happening, so I have an idea of how much material I should be taking off this grip safety. And I'll tell you, it's just a tiny bit. Sometimes it's no more than just a good polishing will do it for you. All right, so be careful with this. We put back our leaf spring. Let's get this back in here. Now the leaf spring for this, you might want to put back your mainspring housing just to keep that leaf spring, you know, partially, to keep that leaf spring from moving on you. All right. Then what you're going to basically need is your grip safety. Put that in. Now the key to this really is don't use your safety, your thumb safety, which normally holds the grip safety in place, right? Because you won't be able to see. You need to see into this cutout here. Let me zoom in. You need to be able to see in here. So what you do is take one of the other pins, and you could just use that pin. Oops. Okay. There we go. Okay. Just depress that a little bit. Now, getting this on camera is going to be a challenge, but we're gonna try anyway. Let me show you this. Here's my trigger, and with the grip safety not engaged, it's got a little bit of movement. When I depress the grip safety, it moves back the rest of the way. You see that? So what I'm trying to do is make it so I have to depress this less. And I think all we're going to need is a little bit of a polishing on the bottom of that grip safety. Your trigger bow comes back like so, right? Right? It's angled like that, right? You follow me? So this goes like this, and there's a trigger in the front here, right? Yep, it's angled. You're getting this, right? I know you expect nothing less than this spectacular camera work, so I'm glad to oblige. And your grip safety is gonna look like this is a bit of a over dramatic representation of the grip safety, but something like this, right? When you depress it, you press it in, right? There's your grip safety speed bump. When you depress it in, it moves up. Yeah? So what you want to do is just grind or just polish the bottom here so that you're decreasing this distance. I mean this width from here to here. So when you depress it, it can leave earlier, right? So you don't have to push it in as far. The way you do that is you got to take a look inside your gun, right? Taking a look in here is going to, like I said, it's going to be real hard because it's just a really small space. We'll try it again. I'm not sure if you can see that. You can't. I won't waste your time with that anymore. All right. So by looking in here, what I'm going to do is essentially look in here and get an idea of where my grip safety is engaging the trigger bow. All right. Now what I can do is actually mark that where it engages. Just carefully take, for instance, a scribe. Yeah. Push back on your trigger push back, depress the trigger, not the grip safety, and you will see where this part of the grip safety engages the trigger bow. Right? There it is, and I can actually go through and mark this with a scribe. Yeah. Believe it or not, pencil works good for this. You can use pencil too. Alright, so let's take this apart. I'll show you what this actually is going to look like now. Take out your pins. Take out your... Yeah, now, if I zoom in here, I'm not sure you'll be able to see it, but if I zoom in here really kind of closely, I'm hitting right here, that bottom one. See that mark? File this bottom part just a little bit and then polish it. Alright? You're going to need some pattern files, whatever company you like, and you're going to need one that's not real rough. You don't want to leave things super nasty and rough. Alright. The other thing is you need some skill with a file. You need to file it flush. You don't want to be rounding it off. Alright? So here we go. Here's my mark. And all I'm going to do is with my file, just nice and easy, go through and just file. Very little. File in one direction. Okay? Now this is pretty soft metal here, so I can tell you, you don't need to do very many strokes. Really, and I'm telling you, a little bit goes a long way. Alright, file in one direction, keep it flush, straight, don't be rounding things off. That looks pretty good so far. Now here's a key thing, right? It's good to have an air compressor to blow off the shavings. That looks pretty good. Alright, so now the tedious part. Remember I told you this is tedious? We're going to go through and we're going to keep fitting it by doing that partial reassembly. Leaf spring goes in, mainspring housing goes in, trigger mag release is already in there. We put in our grip safety. We take one of the other pins, not the safety pin. We put it in there. Get that all to engage, and we just test it. Yeah? Now, you got to test function. So here we are, pressing it, grip safety. So grip safety is still working here. I can tell I want to take off just a tiny bit more material, and I'm going to keep doing this until it barely needs to be touched, but it must be functional. Okay? Yeah, that's quite a bit. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to bore you through doing this a million times. Let me take this apart. I'll keep filing it down like I showed you, and when I get it right, I'll get back to you and I'll show you how to polish it. Alright, so I just filed it off just a tiny little bit more, and I want to just show you here. Triggers doesn't depress, okay? Doesn't go back all the way. If I depress this grip safety, it goes back. Now I want to just show you, you barely got to touch it now, okay? But it still works, yeah? So I removed enough material off, and you know, we're talking like, you know, I don't know, man. I should have measured it first. I guess you know, being an armchair quarterback, I guess, armchair gunsmith. But I could have measured it and told you how many thousandths you have to take off. But I got to tell you, it is not much. If you look at this, show you that mark. There's not much of a difference from when I started. It's a very minor change Here, the mark, I'm not sure well you can see it. You know, it's right up here, and you know I removed just a very little bit. This is wet dry paper. You get it at an auto body shop usually, typically like ADAP or whatever. But this stuff here, you can get it. This is 1,000 grit, so this is like super fine. That's for the second level. And then I have this one here, which is 800 grit. All I'm going to do is set this down on a flat surface. You can't use something cushiony though, okay? So what you're going to need to do is get yourself a piece of wood. One thing that works well is a nice piece of hardwood, you know, whatever, a piece of flooring. Go rip it up out of your kitchen floor. Your wife won't mind, trust me. No, she will mind actually. And then just nice and easy, just barely any pressure, just polish the edges, okay? Polish the front edges and polish the underneath. And I'll show you how to polish the bottom part, the underneath. So I'm just going to polish it, and when I say polishing, I'm just removing the coating. I'm not removing metal at all. All right, just polish it. Do it in one direction only. Keep things straight and level. It must be, so that when this hits your trigger bow, it's like glass on glass. Do it in one direction, and I do as I say, not as I do, folks. You can see I'm getting this end here like a mirror, right? See that? Alright, not much material. Make sure you do not remove material. The worst thing that can happen is you blow your grip safety out, and it won't work anymore. You have to buy a new grip safety, and I got to tell you, that can be a real pain in the ass because sometimes they need to be fit. Now what you can do is take your paper, put it right on the edge of the wood so it's flush, like so. Put it on your bench and polish the underneath side by just simply running it across. Yeah. And you can actually feel, because it's a file, even though they're very fine files, you can feel that they do create some burrs. Alright, then we want to go on the sides to get any burrs that were on the sides off. Like so. That's feeling pretty damn smooth, I gotta tell you. We just keep doing it. Now, you know, if you have a really expensive 1911, you know, bring it to a gunsmith and ask him to do this. This is a Franken gun. This is really, you know, a nice gun, but it's, you know, it's made of all these different parts. It's a shooter. It's not a looker. You know what I'm saying? All right, that's pretty damn smooth. We'll hit it a couple more times across the top. We're getting there. And again, I do not want to remove material. I'm just polishing. Now, you could argue polishing is removing material, but it's super subtle. I'm mostly putting very little tension on here. Don't press down. Just put a little tension. You want to get rid of the burrs. That's all you're trying to do. You can think of it like almost like stropping. Now get your 1,000 grit. And we're going to repeat the process just to polish it. That feels pretty darn good, to be honest with you. All right. The other issue is you want to make sure you keep cleaning this thing up. You don't want to introduce shavings into your gun. So if you have a compressor or something, it's a good thing to use to clear it, blow it out of there. Let's refit this. Again, leaf spring goes in. I put the mainspring housing in there just to keep that leaf spring where it should be so it doesn't move around like a big pain in the ass. Grip safety goes in. pin it in place. Alrighty, here we are. Oh, that's nice. Now, you know, as soon as I grip this gun, trigger goes all the way back. If I don't grip it, the trigger doesn't. If I don't, you know, touch the grip safety at all. So this will engage just fine, but if I just grip the gun, even with a sloppy high grip, I'm taking out grip variability from my shooting by doing this to some degree, right? Ideally, you want to grip the gun the same way every time. I find that really hard to do, particularly when you're shooting from like seated positions. You have to draw from a seated position, etc., and so on, whatever. Alright, so let's go through some reassembly of this gun. I'll reassemble it, and we'll put it through some safety checks and function checks, and I'll get back to you, okay? Alright, here we are all reassembled. Now we put this gun back together. It's all lubricated. It's ready to be used. Now we want to make sure that we didn't screw up any of the safety features of the firearm. Okay. So let's go through them. We'll cock it. Let's test the thumb safety first. Okay. Actually, no. Let's not do that. Let's just check the grip safety first, of course. All right. So we depress the trigger, nothing's happening, and I push it hard because you modified the grip safety. Depress the grip safety, push the trigger in, voila. Let's check our thumb safety. Okay, thumb safety up. Pull the trigger without the grip safety, nothing. Pull the trigger with the grip safety. I mean, really make sure it's depressed. Hammered won't fall. Okay, thumb safety off. Depress the trigger. I gotta tell you, this is friggin' smooth now, man. This is a, listen to that. That's a smooth mother. Let's check the disconnect. Cock it. Thumb safety off. Push on the slide. It should come back about 1/4 of an inch. Grip safety depressed. Trigger depressed. Hammer should not fall. Okay. Keep the trigger in. Let the slide come forward. Release the trigger. You should hear the reset. Press the trigger with the grip safety down. No problem. This is very good. Oh, me likey. That's it. Colt Franken gun, modified grip safety. This should help a little bit. In terms of making sure that that thing's pressed, and you can see it's really smooth. It's nicely fitted in here. These are all kind of random parts. Colt upper, Essex lower, Ed Brown bushing, Wolf spring kit, VZ grips. But this is a shooter. Smith & Alexander, Magwell, and mainspring housing. It's a shooter. Now it's even better shooter. A little bit of skateboard tape on there. Yep. Bought this off of a fellow shooter, and I like it. Yeah, that's the other way you can test that disconnect. Keep your finger on the trigger, rack it, let it go forward. The hammer shouldn't fall. You have to reset the hammer to let it fall. Okay? That's all she wrote. Thanks.